Hey VC, Jeff here. This is my entry for, excuse me, I'm probably gonna mispronounce this, but I'm sure my last name is pretty hard too. Chris Prop Fees 413 contest. I've been putting this off. I just noticed it's due in a couple days, so here goes. I'm just gonna do this pretty fast here. Short and sweet. So Chris is, I think he has had 413. So he was going for 413, or he had 413 when he started this contest. I believe he's just over 500 now. So big congratulations, Chris. So 413. I think that came from the number of subscribers, but he's asking for four favorite albums and why. An album bought on a whim, and three essential albums in across three genres. Um, for me, anyway, these are all pretty much the same answer, so I try to be a little more diverse. Um, so there will be a lot of crossover. So basically, four of my favorite albums, or four favorite albums. I don't know. You definitely my top two or three, and then I don't know. I was trying to be a little. I don't know. It just all ended up being stuff I was listening to in high school. I think that's what usually happens. Um, my music taste, I tend to just kind of, I tend to buy a lot of stuff on a whim. It's like, oh, that looks like an interesting album just from the artwork, or I recognize an artist or something that appears on that, or someone I like, drop the names, like kind of blind buy it. I'd say a good 20-30% of my um, stuff I probably purchased that way. I think especially, pre-internet, before we had YouTube and streaming services, you did a lot of that. So especially like in the punk alternative kind of genres, indie rock. So I think I mentioned in some of my videos in the past, but like I was really anti major label in the '90s when I was in high school, whatever, college years. Even before that, I guess. So I it really has informed my buying habits over the years. So there were certain record labels I really liked. And I just mail order those, or I like, oh, that artist likes this. They're covering this band. That that's how I bought stuff. Like I usually bought it blind. But anyway, let's jump in there. So these are all stuff that kind of influenced my tastes, especially back in high school ish, give or take. Um, so here, I've shown this a million times, but I love this album. Unwound Space is the play. Or no, it's not called Space is the place. It's called Fake Train. Everyone calls it Space is the place. So Fake Train. So yeah, I was gonna homage to Sun Ra there. So this a lot more raw than their typical later output. But I just always appealed to me their earlier stuff. So Unwound, they were Olympia based, Washington State. They get lumped in with math rock, but I think they kind of were out there before that whole thing took off. Um, but yeah, like you can hear, so it falls in somewhere in the post punk, post punk art rock genre. You can definitely hear the jazz influences. And if you have been buying the box sets for all these, so they're great. They're on a numero. So one of my absolute favorite bands of all times, and definitely probably hands down my favorite '90s band, Unwound. But yeah, the box sets that Numero put out are friggin' amazing. Only one I don't have now is the very first one, but I'm kind of back and forth on whether to get it. I might pick it up if it's cheap enough. But yeah, it's definitely not their best material in the very first box. But yeah, by this that's like their proto years or whatever. So yeah, I don't know, a little too raw. Anyway, continuing on, this is another favorite. So that one, yeah, was very Unwound, very influential with just got me a little more interested in jazz, got me a little more interested in art rock, and maybe a little more. I think I was already into no wave at that point, but it definitely got me a little more interested in it. A lot more of the artsy fartsy New York bands. Another one. This was more of a gateway drug. So, I think Let's Dance was the one that got me into Bowie because I was at that right age when it came out. But this was like maybe a thrift pickup. I have a couple copies. I got to decide which one I'm keeping. But yeah, thrift pickup. Definitely. Yeah, definitely this was the gateway drug that really got me into Bowie. So if it's not my favorite Bowie album, I don't know. It's pretty close. But yeah, I definitely wanted to show this one just because this was the gateway drug for Bowie and a lot of the kind of glam rock stuff coming out of the 70s. And yes, like the 70s is definitely a sweet spot for my record collection. Uh, Across all the genres, really. I just really love 70s stuff. But yeah, very very much a gateway drug into like kind of more glammy side of things. So David Bowie and Ziggy Stardust. So another one. Yeah, again, 70s again. Yeah, Stooges. This is a 70s pressing. It's like a second or third pressing. I think it's second. So yeah, I found this in Georgetown at I think Smash Records back in the day, back in the '90s, still sealed. I wish it was in better condition. I think I lent it out a little too often, so it's got a few minor scratches, but still a pretty good copy. So yeah, I've had this for like maybe 30 years. It was sealed when I bought it. Pretty cool. So raw power. Yeah, if you don't know this, you definitely need to check it out. This would definitely count as an essential album in the I don't know. It's called proto punk most of the time, but yeah, it's definitely influenced yeah my interest in more of the like heavier rock genres and punk to some degree. So it definitely influenced me. Big influential album for me. Huge Iggy fan, huge Stooges fan. So yeah, essential album plus yeah, it's one of my absolute favorites. And this was a blind buy because I bought some of their stuff. Actually, I probably have it right here. I bought some of their stuff. I guess someone sold their collection back in the '90s. So this was definitely a blind buy. So let me see if yep. So I think this was probably the one I bought first because it was such a cool album artwork. But that one led me into this album, which is probably my favorite album of all time, Magazine's Real Life. So of course this has Howard Devoto from on vocals and I think a guitar as well. Just vocals. Yeah, so he was from Buzzcocks. So I was a big Buzzcocks fan. And it was quite a few years later I realized he was in both bands. But yeah, I love Magazine. I do need to pick up some more of their catalog on vinyl because I only have a few of their albums. But and I have Howard's solo album, which is pretty similar to Magazine. I think I'm going to show that in my next vid, actually. I found a sealed copy. But yeah, awesome album. Got me more into the kind of synthy. They kind of get lumped into new wave, I guess, post punk new wave, because they have they're heavy on the keyboards. But yeah, this was definitely like another gateway drug. I got it into the Gang of Four and swell maps and all that stuff. So yeah, all these are just gateway drugs from when I was a kid. And there's not a ton of albums I tend to play over and over and over again, but those four definitely are. This is getting really long actually. Bought on a whim. I think I've shown you several things I bought on a whim, but already those ones. Yeah, this was a kind of a find. This is a thrift store pickup. It just looked like an interesting cover, but quite interesting. So it's kind of hard to. I guess it's on Moonlight Records, so it's a really tiny record label. But this was just a blind buy. I picked up at the thrift store. It just looked interesting, and it's a super good album. Contenders, self-titled. I want to say they have one other album, but these guys are going to be hard to find, and they do go for money apparently. So hard to describe. It's kind of folksy. It has almost like a power pop thing going, which is kind of unusual. But if you look at the instrumentation, so yeah, so it's got fiddles and mandolins and all, so it's kind of a bluegrass crossed with power pop. Is that what I would describe it? And it kind of, yeah, it almost looks like that from the cover, doesn't it? So really cool album. One of the more pleasant blind pickups I got recently at Thrifts. Next, the third question was 3 essential albums across 3 genres. I'm really ranty on this one. Sorry, guys. Mudhoney. So, Super Fuzz Big Moth, named after the guitar pedal. Yeah. So, what genre would I say this? I don't know. It usually gets lumped in with like grunge and stuff. So you could say this is an essential grunge album. I would say it's more along the I'd say I hear more like a Sonics or kind of garage rock, garage punk influence. And Mudhoney, I don't really consider them as much of a grunge band, but certainly some of their offshoots were. So in that kind of garage rock, garage punk revival type stuff, I'd say this is definitely an essential album. Or yeah, you could throw it in with grunge. I don't really consider it grunge, but if you throw Mudhoney in with grunge, I'd say they're the best grunge band. But yeah, essential. So it is an EP. If you get the CD, it does include a lot of extra singles, which is worthwhile too. Another genre, metal. So probably this one's going to get shown a lot, but when I think metal, I think Black Sabbath. Man, they were the originals. Not my favorite Sabbath album, but I think if you're gonna buy one Sabbath album, this is probably the one to get. So this one has War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man. I always like fairies wear boots. So the original U.S. brass. It doesn't have the cool vertigo. This mic obviously a little beat, but yeah, I don't play this as much as some of their other albums. But yeah, this is, I guess, the one to get if you're going to get one Sabbath album. But personally, I'm more of a Sabbath Bloody Sabbath or their first album kind of guy. And last genre, we'll just say jazz, but spiritual jazz more specifically. It's unfortunate it's a repress because I've never actually seen one of these in the wild. This is Alice Coltrane, as in wife of John. Journey in Satchidananda. So wonderful kind of spiritual. It has some free jazzy kind of elements, but it's more of a spiritual type album. And this album features my 3 top jazz artists. So this one's a good one. So it has so Alice herself's on harp and piano. You got Pharoah Sanders on sax. So I love Pharoah Sanders. I had an opportunity to see him recently, a couple years ago. And also has Charlie Hayden on bass, who's by far my favorite bass player. So awesome. Anything Charlie touches, freaking awesome. So yeah, so definitely worth a check out if you've never heard this album. It's friggin' amazing. So I'll just cut off here because I think we're right over 10 minutes. Oh wow, I'm almost at 15. Sorry, man. I hope you enjoyed the video and my ranting and raving here. I should have kept that a little more succinct there. Take care, guys. Stay safe, and catch you on the flip side or whatever. Yeah, make up a new phrase there. Take care. Cheers.